Well, should we start the show?
Well, shit.
Well, shit, it looks like it's that time again.
It's that time again for more Jake and Cory podcast during this thing. I'm going to get out there and get me some tiger cubs to come in here and give Jake one to hold and play with and pose for a picture.
Did you watch it?
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, bro. I'm the Tiger King Kool-Aid drinker. Yes, I did.
Hell yeah!
I actually ended up reactivating my Netflix account just to be able, because I was being inundated. I was being beat over the head with the Tiger King. I'm all in. Finished it yesterday, bro. Be more than happy to talk to you about it.
Hell yeah. What'd you think?
Well, let me see. I think I made myself a little quick note about it because I did watch the entire thing and I kind of summarized it a little bit as far as how what the show or how the show is and how it portrayed and how it came out to me. And I classified it as this. You know, we're engulfed in this pandemic right now, Jake, and we needed a distraction. And the distraction came in a gay polygamous, gun-toting tiger breeder, a non-convicted husband-murdering 70s hippie chick who fed her dead rich husband to a tiger, a pothead meth addict suicide, a one-tooth shirtless straight guy who's married to a guy, incinerated alligators, and a Las Vegas broke millionaire.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's a train wreck. It's a train wreck, and I will say the Tiger King is something that we needed in this hour. We needed a train wreck. We needed a diversion. And I hate to say it, Netflix delivered on this. They really did.
Do you think Joe Exotic deserves to be in prison?
I don't.
No?
I think that now he was out there. He was crazy. He was a wackadoo from the beginning. But you know what? They all are a cavalcade of fuck-ups. They all are. Okay? No one, if one person is in jail, lock all their asses up. That's what I say. Because they were all screwed up. Don't you agree that they were all screwed up from the beginning?
Yeah, they're all kind of weird. As far as I could tell, I mean, there's a debate to be had there about Carol Baskin.
Oh,
that
100%.
Bitch Carol Baskin.
That bitch Carol Baskins.
About whether or not she killed her husband or anything. But, you know, Joe seems to be the only one that actually really attempted to murder somebody.
And I'm sorry, Jake. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but dude, is it wrong of me that as that series kept going on, I was really hoping that the murder for hire was going to be carried out? Is that bad?
It would have made it far more interesting.
Dude.
Not that show needed to be any more interesting than it already was.
Carol Baskins, look into her eyes, dude. Look into her eyes. They're
dead.
Those are the eyes of an unremorseful, disconnected human being that has quantified in her mind that she did not kill her husband.
I just heard that Joe Exotic is suing the filmmakers for $95 million.
They are all a litigious group of people. I mean, they're probably going to sue us for talking about them.
Oh, I hope so. Bring some attention to us.
How many lawsuits did Carol Baskins file? And every time Joe moved or changed something or put something in someone else's name, she sued that. She was unrelentless.
You think Joe Exotic blew up that alligator enclosure?
100%.
You think he did? Yeah, he did that shit for sure, right?
100% he did that. I mean, they're all like I said, a bucket of fuck ups.
I read a thing. I don't know how accurate this is, but I read a thing that those were Michael Jackson's alligators.
I don't know, but the only thing that I knew that I've read and found proof of, because I remember this, was Shaquille O'Neal visiting Joe Exotic's zoo and actually purchasing 2 tigers. I remember Shaq talking about that on NBA TV.
Yeah, that's in the show too.
Yeah, well, I didn't. Maybe I missed it. I was just so damn engulfed.
Shaq is in like the first episode, I think.
As like when they're building his story.
Yeah. But I read an article that was like those alligators were Michael Jackson's alligators that Joe Exotic took in once Michael Jackson couldn't take care of them anymore, and like the show is just so crazy that they didn't even feel the need to mention, hey, those are Michael Jackson's alligators. That's just how crazy everything is. They're just like, they didn't even need to tell you those were Michael Jackson's alligators.
I think that when the producers of the show were filling up the bucket of crazy, they figured that if they threw Michael Jackson in there, the bucket of crazy would just overflow at that point. I mean, that was just enough. They put just enough crazy in there to keep us intrigued. And they did it very well. I will say that much.
It's pretty nuts when the most sane character in your show is the drug dealer that everyone compared to Scarface.
Yeah.
He's the most normal guy out of all of them.
Yeah, he's the broke millionaire. I mean, literally, that dude was. It was all of them, man. And you know what, Jake? It almost seemed
he used to smuggle drugs with snakes
in the stomachs of snakes. In the stomachs of snakes. Is it me, or is it just too believable that it's unbelievable?
You know what? I think they may have skewed some of the storylines in that show to make it look a little bit more fantabulous than it actually is. But I don't doubt that most of that shit happened. You can't fake someone getting their arm bitten off.
So you said that Joe Exotic is suing the production company for $98 million, right?
It's something like that, yeah.
Okay. Carol Baskins also, I saw something on Twitter.
Yeah, she's suing too.
She's pissed off too. So, okay, this is just another example of their ignorance. Because if anything, it gave Joe Exotic what he wanted the whole time. He wanted international exposure. He wanted to be a celebrity. This just gave it to him, and now
I can kind of understand where Carol Baskin is coming from.
Yeah.
Because it really painted her as a murderer. Like, it really did.
You and I both know that you can't have a story without a protagonist, and she was that. But then when you really look at it, dude, everybody surrounding...
they were all the bad guys.
Yeah, this is why I don't think that Joe Exotic should be in jail, because everyone that came around him wanted to abuse him. But in exchange, he abused them. So I say if one person is in jail, they should all be in jail. And
But that's not what he's in jail for. He's in jail because he attempted to murder Carol Baskin, that bitch.
Yeah, but he's in jail because he tried to attempt to murder Carol Baskins. But why isn't the attempted guy that was originally sent out in jail? Why isn't the guy that was
did you watch the show?
Yeah, the con man. Why weren't they all convicted as well?
Because they were all in on it.
They sold Joe out. They basically got their free get out of jail ticket for selling out Joe. That's why I don't think if one is in jail, they should all be in jail. That's how I look at it.
Dude, Netflix just uploaded another documentary that no one seems to be talking about.
Do share, because I'm all in.
It's called How to Fix a Drug Scandal. I may have that name wrong. I think it's called How to Fix a Drug Scandal.
Okay.
And what it's about is in Massachusetts, there were two separate cases, right? And it's about people who test the drugs, right? Like when you get arrested and they take your drugs, they get sent to a lab, right, to get tested.
Right.
And it's about two separate people who both did some horrible shit that were chemists and shit. One of them got highly addicted to the product herself.
So they were
the other
testing the
one-
drugs on themselves instead of just putting them through solutions to determine what type of drugs they were?
No, she just got highly addicted to drugs, and that was just an easy way to get drugs.
Oh, okay. So she was getting street drugs, and then when she
Yeah.
saw that her job was okay, I follow you. Okay.
So like, yeah, like she started taking the liquid meth that they had in the lab, and she just started like dipping it on her tongue and stuff, and like, but she was actually very particular to not mess up, because then that would bring eyes onto her and it would stop her whole thing. So she got found out, and everyone got released from prison that she tested on. And the people who test these drugs, they test like over 1,000 people's drugs a year, and they had to let all of those people out. And she was there for over 9 years. And then the other person faked her college degree, didn't actually know anything about chemistry, and just said all of the drugs that she tested were drugs. And so just everyone went to jail. And then they went back and retested some of them, and some of it was like salt, and some of it was like sugar, not drugs at all.
Were any of these people in Oklahoma?
It was, I think it was all Massachusetts.
Oh, Jesus. What's up with those people in the East and Central Coast, man? They're going crazy.
I feel like this documentary is getting buried, dude. It's a great documentary. You should really, really, really check it out. It's super great.
I think it's all about timing with some of these documentaries, because the Tiger King thing isn't new. I mean, that has had local and national media attention for years and years. And all, I mean, you YouTube it, you could literally go and watch everything that was in the documentary on YouTube in some way, shape, or form, and probably some additional information. So this documentary that you're mentioning now is probably something that has been out there, but I'm intrigued by it, man. I might have to look up that name and go and watch it, because I did see a couple of other recommended documentaries after I finished the Tiger King.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. It's great. Speaking of things that are great, today, and I know you're excited for this, Cory.
Yes.
Today is WrestleMania. Are you excited for WrestleMania?
I am so no. I got nothing. No, not. I don't know anything about wrestling. No.
So let me drop some info on you.
Sure,
about
go ahead.
WrestleMania.
I'll
real
try
quick.
to go with you, bro. You're outside my
No.
wheelhouse.
It's interesting stuff. You're gonna love it.
Okay.
So originally, WrestleMania was set for tomorrow, right? And WrestleMania typically has like 80,000 people there, right? That can't happen right now for very obvious reasons.
No, it can't.
So they're doing the entire show with no audience. They pre-taped it all on Tuesday. So this is the most excited I've ever been for a wrestling event, because what is that going to look like with no audience? What is wrestling like with no audience?
Dude, that sounds. I don't see how that's gonna work, but
It sounds like art is what it sounds like to me. God damn it!
it's like when there was one late night talk show host that did his show a couple of times without an audience, and all you heard was like the random clapping patters and giggles of the crew people that were there. But it was
John
still,
Oliver, I think.
Yeah, it was still very awkward. I can't imagine that this, just in the instance of how WrestleMania is, and the fact that those guys feed off the energy of the crowd. So were they pumping in, like, I wonder if they're gonna pump in fake crowd noises or something.
I doubt it. They've been doing like Monday Night Raw and SmackDown without an audience, but a lot of what they've been doing is like doing one match, and it's really awkward because there's no audience, and then they'll just like replay an old thing for like the rest of the duration of the time. But this is like a whole, WrestleMania usually goes for like 8 hours, which is why it's split between 2 days.
How can they get away with this when I know for a fact it takes more than 10 crew members to pull off any type of TV show? Unless it's all robotic cameras and people are controlling the cameras from home. I mean, how can they pull this off?
They filmed a lot of it before the big lockdown started. Yeah.
I will agree with you that that's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I will report back next week and let you know how it was.
Please do, and I will have the same reaction to it because I know nothing about wrestling. Last wrestler I knew was Hulk Hogan and Roddy Piper. That's all I got.
The Hulkster.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Hollywood Hogan, baby.
Yeah.
So speaking of wrestling, I posted a video yesterday. So for this podcast, that's 4 days ago. I'm breaking the illusion here that we record this the same day we post it.
We don't.
we spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
But I posted a video and it was about wrestling because I wanted to stay topical for WrestleMania. So I posted a video about wrestling, right?
Where did you post it?
On YouTube.
Okay.
And as one does. And immediately my video got copyright struck for copyrighted stuff. And I wanted to ask you, I wanted to get your feel on this. So for me, I don't understand why anyone would pull this kind of stuff, because really what I'm doing is marketing your company, like making you look good. Like, why would you want to? I'm giving you free publicity. Why would you not want that? I can't wrap my head around. Like, if someone took clips of this show and like posted it, I wouldn't give a shit, dude. It's like, yeah, spread the word, Like, I don't know.
I understand where you are. You and I live in the YouTube verse through a lot of channels of what we do. I will tell you this. The reason why that stupid copyright bot that is a computer somewhere that is running some antiquated algorithm is just out there to protect YouTube's, because their YouTube is scared as F on getting sued over any content that is put up there. This is the reason why there is such a large exodus of YouTubers based off of they keep putting up content and it gets a copyright claim. Now, here's what's interesting about these copyright claims. If there was a real problem with a video that anyone posted up on YouTube, YouTube would remove it. These copyright claims allows YouTube to put ads for what their bots think you're talking about in order to produce revenue for YouTube.
Well, and that's not even entirely accurate. Sometimes it gets claimed by a company and all the revenue goes to that company that claimed your video. So these companies can just claim your video. You can, contest it. But if the monetization has already gone to that company, you don't get that back. You
don't.
It's really like a scam. It's a scam, dude.
It's a 100% scam. I'm pulling up a YouTube copyright claim that I just got this week, and it says video title, and it was a title of my video. Copyrighted content, it was a title of the song. Claimed by some hieroglyphics company. It's just dots and squiggles and asterisks. It's not a real company. It doesn't even have a name on who claimed it. It's all like in Chinese lettering. And so my video is now copyright claimed by who? No one. And here's the thing: what they copywrote was a 7-second audio clip.
Yep. That's how it always is, too.
And it's claimed by someone, it's claimed by a company that doesn't even exist. It's not even a real company name. It's in some type of Chinese words. It's a scam.
Good luck disputing it, especially right now.
I don't. That's the reason why I've given up trying to make any or create any revenue off of YouTube. So unless you're kissed by the YouTube gods, where YouTube itself has bought in on your product, you're screwed.
Yeah.
It's
screwed. True. It's true. It's really weird, man. I don't understand it. It's like, for one, like, some companies are like very adamant about pulling shit down. And even when it's like, I'm promoting your company. Like, why would you want this down? Like, it just doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. The other big thing that YouTube's been doing lately, and they always do this, is they really censor news because, like, for example, with COVID-19, I don't give a shit. I'll say it all I want. But with COVID-19, it seems like every time someone says COVID-19 in their YouTube videos, it gets demonetized. And hidden by the algorithm. And to me, that seems like really shady. Wouldn't you want news to be spread about COVID-19 on your platform? Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't want
in particular
that.
In particular to COVID-19, I kind of side with the fact that they're pulling those down. Here's the reason why. Because there's a whole lot of dumb fucks out there that are going to be spreading all kind of fake news about COVID-19. All these conspiracy theorists. And I know that I can just hear the people now. What about free speech? What about free speech? I don't think in this season of COVID-19 that we really need the bottom feeders to be coming out and talking about this is a biological war from China, or this is this, or this was all set up, and this, that, and the other. I want to hear from the professionals. I want to hear from the people that have degrees on the walls, that don't have orange faces. Like, I want to hear from them about what's going on with this pandemic. That's why I want to listen to. I don't need the Joe Exotics coming to YouTube and putting up their propaganda.
Well, I've got two things to say to that. First of all, people should be able to say whatever the fuck they want. Feel free. I don't give a fuck. Second of all, it's even like big news sources. I mean, like Philip DeFranco, right? You know who that is?
I'm not familiar.
Big YouTuber. He does news on YouTube and shit. Almost all of his videos get demonetized because he talks about the news. And he's literally just a news YouTuber. Like, he just talks about the news. And his videos get demonetized all the fucking time. And he's one of the top YouTubers. So, like, doesn't that seem like almost harmful to, like, suppress information about this shit? And, like,
they're not.
I don't know.
I don't think they're suppressing the information. I think what they're doing is trying to let out the accurate information from the professionals that are delivering. Now, number one, I consume very little news when it comes to this. I listen to the two doctors, and when anyone else starts talking, I blow it off. And not to sound like Rick again, but I know a couple of people that are attached to the medical industry, and I listen to what they have to say because they are the medical professionals. Even though I just bitched about YouTube, I'm signing off on the fact that they are sequestering some of these unapproved professionals that are trying to deliver the news. I don't watch MSNBC's cover. I don't watch CNN's cover. I don't watch Fox News's cover because they all have their own agenda. All I want are the facts. And with this pandemic, now they can spout on about anything else. They can spout on about their politics. They can spout on about weather. They can spout on about global warming. But in particular to this pandemic, I kind of back up YouTube with them squashing this and only allowing the professional medical experts, their information to go out. I kind of sign off on that.
But don't you also like a lot of people who are posting videos like who work in the medical field, like who are on, in ground zero, and they're like, hey, this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're doing. Their videos are being hidden. They can't be seen. People who are just doing man on the street shit, like, hey, this is what the city's like. COVID-19's really fucked everything up. You should know about this. And these videos are getting hidden. I don't think they should be hidden. I think it's good things. And who are you to say that this news organization is more professional than this news organization? A lot of people consume their news from many different sources. And for a lot of younger people, that's YouTube news. A lot of people have their favorite YouTubers that they get their news from, and that's fine. I don't know. I just don't understand.
I agree with you partially.
They're not pulling CBS down,
Well, they're not pulling down, they're not pulling down CBS, they're not pulling down MSNBC, they're not pulling down some of those major networks and stuff like that. But it's interesting that you talk about the medical professionals that are putting up, first person videos online and they're being pulled down. I don't want to call it a debate, but I got into a conversation with a registered nurse down in Tucson, Arizona on Twitter just this week. Because I saw ABC 15 post up on Twitter the number of people, confirmed cases, and the number of confirmed deaths. And my reply to them was, how many people have survived and recovered? ? And then the nurse saw that comment my reply to ABC 15, and she says, well, not many have recovered or survived it. That's why they're not You know what? I'm not going to paraphrase her. I'm actually going to make sure that I'm saying what she actually wrote. She says, not many. We are still early in the process. A lot of people are still very sick and aren't out of the woods yet. Others may not be sick, but are still infectious. Neither group is recovered. So then I replied to her again, and I said, so you telling me that wait a minute, I'm sorry, I'm losing my spot. I said, so I see your point, but there are people that are recovering from it. My point, that my argument is that the news media is only giving us death and dismemberment. They're not giving us the fact that over 230,000 people, according to Johns Hopkins University, has recovered from this thing. So we were going back and forth about this. Well,
I will say the people who have, that's great. They've recovered, but the more important number is how many people have died.
But you don't think that people need
Hold on. We don't send our people to war.
You can interrupt me, but I can't interrupt you as well.
Yes, I can interrupt you. God damn it. We don't send our people to war, right?
You point to me when it's my turn to talk then.
We don't send military men to war. And yes, I did call them military men. And we don't say, this is how many survived. We usually say, this is how many people have fallen. Because that's the more important number. Because we want to prevent more people from dying. It doesn't matter how many.
So you don't think in this hour...
I pointed at you.
Yeah, you did. I'm glad you find this funny. You don't think in this hour that, especially for Arizonans, you don't think we need some glimpse of hope that people are actually recovering from this thing? You don't think that would be an important detail to share amongst the media?
Of course. I mean...
So why the fuck aren't they sharing it then?
You can find... I've seen it all over the place.
I've not. ABC 15, Arizona is not. I have not seen them report. All I see are the number of reported cases and the number of deaths. They love those two fucking numbers. Now, I'm not saying that those numbers aren't important. Survivors are equally as important. Give Arizona, and I can only speak for Arizona because ABC 15 is only local to Arizona. Give Arizonans, if anything, a little smidgen of hope. That's all I'm asking. The media doesn't want to do that. They don't want to give that. They want to give you the bad news. Because death and dismemberment, it sells. And that was my argument back and forth with this nurse. Well, not an argument, because it was a very respectful conversation on Twitter. But that's what my point was to her.
As they often are.
Well, you know what? She was very professional, and she made some very good points, as you did as well. But I believe that I had a very good point as well. Why can't we get the number of people that are getting tested positive and actually going home? You know why we can't get that number? Because the CDC is not asking for that. The CDC doesn't want these hospitals to report what people are being discharged or checked out and sent home to self-quarantine. The CDC doesn't want that number. They want positive tests and deaths.
Well, and the truth of the matter is we don't even really know. Because how many people have this and haven't even been tested? I mean, if I were to get sick right now, which thank God I'm not, but if I were to start feeling a respiratory thing and I were to call a hospital, they'd say, you know what? You're young, just stay home. And if you start feeling shortness of breath, you should come into the hospital. Besides that, you should just stay home for 2 weeks and then get a test when you can. I mean, that's just the way it is right now. So
I'm going to slightly disagree. There is testing available in Arizona, not as much as they're anticipating the need to be. But there are tests in Arizona right now, and there are drive-through test stations that are set up at hospitals in Arizona where if you do call your doctor's office, yes, they're going to ask you some preliminary questions about how you're feeling. Do you have a temperature? Do you have a cough? Blah, blah, blah. And then they can make a diagnosis. And yes, there are people out there that are being told to stay home and just quarantine for a day. And if you can go 72 hours without any medication, without a fever, you should be okay. But then there are those people that don't want to take that advice and they want to flood down to the hospitals and check themselves out, and it turns out to be, maybe the sniffles or the everyday flu. But then there are that percentage of people that go and do end up testing positive. And some of those people that do test positive, depending on the severity of their symptoms, they may be admitted to a hospital, they may be sent home and told to quarantine. So there's two levels within that. So if you were to start experiencing symptoms that you feel would be the coronavirus, it is okay to call your primary care physician, explain in detail what your symptoms are, and then allow your primary care physician to give you direction. And if he tells you to stay home and quarantine for a few days, do so, follow up with him. And if your symptoms have not increased or improved, then there could be further direction made at that time. Where we're experiencing the problem is that people are over panicking. I just saw on A&E TV with Live PD that people in New Jersey are calling 911, claiming that their symptoms are worse than they are, just to get an ambulance ride to the hospital.
They're still going to have to pay for that, though.
They're still going to have to pay for it, but they're also overwhelming the hospitals by lying, thinking that they have something and they don't. So I see what you're saying, Jake. I support it 100%, but it's almost a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
And what you're saying is correct, and this is why they're saying for people to stay home if you're not getting the big symptoms. But that's also exactly what I'm saying. We don't have the accurate numbers.
No,
we don't.
They're all contrived. They're not 100%.
We won't, at least for another week or two.
Dude, did you hear that people have actually had coronavirus identical symptoms as far back as November and December?
That's what I've heard. I'm kind of convinced that I had it in February.
Yeah, and we didn't know what it was. And the thing
I had a lower lung infection in February, and my doctor was like, "Oh, that's weird. Dry cough, all that stuff." They're like, "Here's some cough medicine. Go home, stay home for a few days. You're fine."
Yep.
It was unlike anything I've had before. They said it was bronchitis, but I don't know. I'm not. Who knows? I go back and forth.
I got so sick back in December that I ended up passing out in my bathroom and ended up being in the ER for one night. And after going to the ER a couple of days later, I followed up with my primary care physician, and he ended up prescribing me another inhaler because I was having difficulty breathing. So there's a good chance that I may have been already touched by this thing.
Yeah, who knows? But, that's all conjecture at this point.
It really is.
Eventually we will have tests to test antibodies in people.
Yeah.
And that'll happen hopefully sooner rather than later. So then we can start opening up the systems again. Because once we start testing people for antibodies, we can start sending people back to work.
Yeah, that's the interesting part. That's the one that everybody is really waiting on, is to see that once you have this, do you have the antibodies? Does it act like measles? Does it act like mumps? Does it act like chicken pox? We don't know.
This may be offensive, but someone told me the other day, they're like, yeah, it's pretty soon we're just going to be sending people out with armbands with stars on them so we know who to identify,
That's really scary, because that's the Book of Revelations talks about the mark of the beast. That's really similar to that, bro.
I'm thinking more of a particular war that happened in the 1940s.
Oh, that's scary. That's really
bad.
Scary. That's really bad, bro.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not too scared of it.
Of course not.
A lot of people are freaking out, but I think it's a lot of group mentality. I'm ready for the revolution. I'm ready to go down to the McDonald's headquarters and fight the war.
Dude, do you not think that it has a lot? It leans on a fact that we don't have a compassionate set of leaders that makes that makes people panic so much that we don't have. I mean, when 911 happened, we had the most clumsiest, goofiest president ever. But you know what? There was a lot of compassion that came through when old W was in the office. You know what I mean? And that iconic scene of him sitting at that school and being delivered the news that the towers were attacked. And you just see a look come across his face like, oh, it's on, bitch. It's on. You know what I mean? Do you think that a lot of the fear and worry and angst that people are experiencing right now is because we don't have any leadership that has an inkling of compassion?
It's impossible to say, but I think everyone comparing this to 9/11, it's not a fair representation, because 9/11 brought us together. This is quite literally torn us apart. We literally can't interact with each other. It's literally just turned into every man for themselves.
I could not disagree with you more. I vehemently disagree with you.
It's very much like, yeah, we're all in isolation together. But if you're out in public and someone tries to come walk near you, you're gonna deck them in the face, because you're like, what are you doing, you stupid idiot? Stay away from me.
Yeah,
it's quite literally like that. Whereas like 9/11 was different, because it was like, we have a common enemy. But right now it's like our common enemy is the virus, and that virus could be inside of you, which is exactly why we're not in the same room right now. You know what I mean? Like it's totally different. It's same in the way that it's gonna flip the world on its head. It's very much similar to that, and we're not even gonna know about that shit until like probably May, June, July. Once things start opening up, we're gonna start seeing how different the world is. And yeah, so it's gonna be like that. But
I think I agree. I disagree 100%. I think that it is similar, not in the fact that we had one common enemy. I am seeing, and maybe this is because I'm choosing to see it, that people are coming together like they did around 9/11. People are being able to show compassion and care from a distance, but they still are. And I think that we are still very well more connected.
Yeah, you see a little bit of that.
And the sense of community is being restored, when before this pandemic, we were all about all about us just being about ourselves. And that's why that's the similarity that I draw. The parallel that I draw between 9/11 and this thing is that it's bringing communities back together. You are seeing people that are going above and beyond just to give a simple message of thank you, a simple message of we're going to be okay, our boy, Dave Grohl, and I meant to send you this video, participated in an iHeartRadio special last week, and I thought it was absolutely
my hero.
Amazing. It was amazing that they did that, where they came together, and they came together by everybody being in their homes. And that's the same thing that kind of happened around 9/11.
And I don't disagree with you that there is some of that going on, where there's a lot of like people doing concerts in their house and like, hey, let's all stay together. We're all isolated together, which is true. And, you know, when this all ends, we're probably all going to feel a lot closer to each other, because, human interaction is going to be, it's been very taken for granted. And when we get out of this, we're all going to very much appreciate going to the movies.
Yeah.
We're all going to very much appreciate going to our friend's house, our family's house. We're all going to appreciate that more than ever. And that's absolutely true. But the difference between this and 9/11 was 9/11, when it ended, there were people hugging on the streets, and like coming together and hugging each other. Right now, there's people in Walmart fist fighting over a pack of toilet paper. So it's a bit different. It kind of goes both ways, this thing.
There are differences.
This
I
thing
agree.
there's so much gray area with this thing, where like I think people are either being way too optimistic or way too negative, but there's a gray area there where it's like you just have to be realistic about what's going on. It's not great.
It's
nothing
not
good about this.
Yeah, this from Jake. It's not great. You're right. It's that gray area that I believe you are describing is the area of the unknown, because there is so much that is still unknown about this thing, and I believe that's what when you have that fear of the unknown. But you're right. There are some parallels that cannot be drawn between 9/11 and this pandemic, but I believe that there are some that can be
certainly
between the two. And I may be one of those people that are a little bit more optimistic by this thing, and my optimism comes from historical pandemics and historical world events where it seemed
like the Black Plague,
or the bird flu, or H1N1, or SARS, where all of those things were supposed to,
or the flu that happened in the 1920s, where a fifth of the population died.
So we're like,
really high good things.
When we look at those things and how we overcame them and how we won out at the end, that's where I'm basing I'm sorry that I'm putting my hope in the human race. I just am, and I may be, that may come from a place of ignorance, but that's where I am on the whole entire thing.
It's going to be super interesting when this all ends. Like every flu season now, I think we're going to see people like wearing masks and like gloves on the trains, and like, like before during flu season, everyone just went out like normal. I think now during flu season, everyone's going to be taking precautions. Everyone's going to, wearing bandanas around their face, like all the time. I think so. Just like it is in Japan or China already.
Well, I think that what's going to happen, especially when we get out of this and we're I would say maybe a few years removed from this, I think people are going to forget about it. Just like people are starting to forget, people forgot about SARS and the Black Plague. I think people are going to forget about it, and we're going to go back to our individual islands.
The Black Plague in like the 1700s.
Yeah, I mean. we're gonna go back to our islands of me, and people. I honestly think it's going to move to the back of the Kardashians are going to end up doing something, and we're all going to forget about it.
Of course, our day to day. We're going to forget about it. Just like our day-to-day, and don't take this the wrong way, because I don't mean it in the wrong way, but just like our day-to-day, we've forgotten about 9/11. But not like that. We haven't forgotten about it, but it's like you don't think about it all the time.
Yeah, it's not at the forefront of your conscious.
That would be unhealthy if it was.
Right, I agree.
But I don't think we're going to forget about this, dude. This is so unprecedented. Like, we've never seen anything like this. Something that's captured the whole world like this, at least not in our lifetime.
Well, there have been other pandemics, bro, that have captured the world that we've forgotten
like
about. You're right. I will agree.
This.
It's not like this, but I think that because we are a what's happening right now culture, this will move to the back of our minds and something else will take over. And you know
Yeah,
what?
I don't
And I'm
know.
willing to predict, and I may eat these words, I'm willing to predict come November, not a lot of people are going to remember this because we got an election.
I think a lot
that's
of
gonna
people
take
will
place.
because we're going to be in a Great Depression and a lot of people are going to be out of jobs. Dude, this is going to impact us in a big way that people will never forget.
There are so
This
many.
is going to be in the history books.
I'm
telling you right
100%
now.
it's going to be in the history books. I was going to say something, but I'm going to go ahead and back out of it
Okay.
because I know it's going to be very controversial. But
Hey, you heard last week's episode. I went there.
yeah,
Yeah.
I understand that, you know, just in Arizona that there were 100,000 files of unemployment. I read an article from ABC 15, once again, that they listed over 1.2 available jobs right now. I don't know what people are doing. I honestly don't know. There's so much work out there right now. And even if it's just temporary work, even if it's work that's not up someone's specialty alley, at least it's something to keep money flowing. I don't understand. My day job, my numbers job, I'll give a little bit of glimpse into that. I deal with levels of onboarding education. We have seen such an influx of people coming into my industry because my job in itself, my corporate job, has over 3,000 open positions. So when I see those types of things and I see these websites reporting all these companies that are hiring, I'm trying to figure out what the hell are those 100,000 people doing where they can't find another job? Or are they just filing for unemployment insurance while they're searching for a new job?
Well, for some of them, it's like their job got closed down and their kids' schools got closed down and they have to stay home with their kids. A lot of them.
Yes,
know?
but I'm also seeing that there was posted in Arizona 3,800 online jobs for a very large shipping retailer here that a lot of people are familiar with that has a name that's the same as a big, huge forest area in Chile. So I'm saying where there's a will, there's a way, but that's from my eyes. I'm not in their shoes.
I think a lot of people are also like maybe a little scared to go to work right now.
Well,
but
then
like,
you can't lean on unemployment insurance out of fear. You lean on unemployment insurance out of the fact that you were removed from your job from uncontrollable circumstances. But dude, if my numbers job right now that I have
these
been
are pretty
on,
uncontrollable circumstances, dude.
I agree, but if my job that I have been on for over 18 years decided to eliminate my role, I would be flipping burgers, making pizzas, stacking grocery store shelves, whatever I could do in order to ride this out. You know, I'm not going to sit back and just file unemployment insurance. I'm going to take action.
Yeah. Well, it might not be that easy for some people. You know?
As I left and you're right, and I agree with you 100% on that too. That's why I said that my point. You know,
we don't know all the circumstances.
I don't. You know? And I have grown children, so I'm not dealing with small children at home. So yeah, I'm in a little different of a boat, but you can't argue the fact that there are over 1 million jobs available right now that they're actively seeking people to do.
I'm watching my sister right now, and she's got 2 little ones, and one of them's in kindergarten, and she's trying to homeschool them right now. She's also trying to take care of her 2-year-old, and she's also trying to work from home. And I'm just like, I don't know how you're doing it. She's like, I don't know either. It's like impossible. You know, it's a crazy time, bro. It's a crazy,
it is a crazy time. But I think that the best of us is going to come
when I say
forward.
people are going to be out of jobs, right? It's a lot of businesses are going to close, dude. Like so many businesses, like even AMC just released a thing that's like, yeah, we're probably not going to make it through this. And that's the biggest theater chain ever, you know? And they're saying they probably won't make it through this.
I'm going to go another controversial route again. I understand that AMC may not make it through this. Okay. So let's say, for instance, they don't. When this is over, that's going to be an open market share for another company to come in. AMC's been around for a long time. Maybe this is just part of the thinning the herd. Because there are some
what's
companies
interesting?
that are going to survive this. And AMC, if they weren't planning right, I'm sure that some business analyst somewhere could dig through their books and see, hey, you guys didn't really plan very well for this. That may be the reason that
Who plans for this, dude? That's not fair. Who
there
plans
are
for this?
companies that are able to survive this.
Yeah,
it's not
Disney. That's crazy.
It's not a plan
you
for
don't expect
a pandemic.
your company to not be making revenue for over 4 months.
No, it's not.
That's just not a thing.
No, you do. You plan for contingency. You plan for a downturn or a shift of the market.
You look for a contingency for if the Marvel movie doesn't make as much money as you thought it would. You're still making revenue. You're looking for a contingency if popcorn sales go down, right? You're looking for a contingency if the Frozen 2 movie doesn't do as much business. You don't have a contingency for the entire company being shut down for 4 months.
You have a contingency.
Zero revenue.
You have a contingency for a drop in revenue.
Yes.
That's the
Not
whole thing.
for 4 months.
Some companies have prepared.
It's not a drop in revenue. It's zero revenue.
There are companies that have been able to survive through the 2008 housing market crash.
This is so different than that.
You're just comparing the exact situation. What I'm talking about is business.
No, it's not.
I'm talking about in business in general, that businesses
so different than
have ways to prepare for downturns of revenue.
This isn't a downturn of revenue, Corey. This is a zero revenue.
That's have contingencies for zero revenue.
Zero. No, you shouldn't. There's usually no occurrence where that's ever going to happen. This is an unprecedented thing. You're really not looking at the big picture here, dude.
If you have a company...
You can't blame AMC for closing their doors.
I'm not blaming AMC for closing their doors. For
not having a quote-unquote contingency plan for their company having to be shut down for over 4 months. No one has a contingency plan for that. The Euro shop down the street doesn't have a contingency plan for shutting down for 4 months.
Not a little small company, no. I understand.
It's not a thing.
Your theory works perfect when it comes to small businesses. But these large corporations, like an AMC, should have a contingency for a spike in a downturn of revenue. That can be zero revenue or that can be very little revenue. There are contingency plans out there, and no big, large corporation, because I can guarantee you this, AMC may end up shuttering their doors because they haven't been able to open up their business for 4 months, but all the top executives have received their salaries for the last 4 months. They do have a contingency for that. So it's just, I'm saying,
they don't, because that's why they're going to close.
My point is,
they still have costs with zero revenue.
My point is, every large corporation should have some level of contingency in the event of them having a downward spike in revenue. That could be from something like their business having to shut down. That could be from a lawsuit. That could be from any various outlet. There should be some level of contingency. All I'm saying is that in business, if they're not able to weather this out, then that may open up a market share for another company to come in. That's just the reality of it.
That's interesting, that last bit that you said. I don't think there's ever a case where you should have a contingency for having to be completely shut down for 4 months, because this is unprecedented. This will probably never happen again in our lifetime. Hopefully, God forbid. But
I agree, God forbid.
But the last bit that you said, this opens up a new market share for people. I was saying this before this all went down. People have been talking about how we may have talked about this on one of the earlier episodes of the show, but people were talking about how like Amazon is going to be like shutting down things like Barnes and Noble or GameStop or Best Buy or something like that. And I think that could potentially be a good thing to start seeing a rise in mom and pop shops and seeing more people have their own business. Because without a Best Buy, you're more likely to have a smaller consumer electronics store just run by Joe down the street. because he loves consumer electronics, and there's not really a market for a consumer electronics store. Same with theaters. We might end up seeing more, boutique theaters, like the Alamo Draft House or something like that. Barnes and Noble closing. We might see more bookstores, which is really cool with bookstores because, Barnes and Noble, they all kind of feel the same. They all kind of have the same shit in them. But with a mom and pop bookstore, they have their own feel. They have their own life.
What you're explaining is 100% accurate, and we experience that in the restaurant industry. So many of these large corporate restaurants were shutting their doors because of the downturn. People just got tired of them. The market, that's called a market shift, and we saw an uprise of all these little mom and pop restaurants that come out with a little different specialty, and we're flocking to them. So what you just explained is 100% possible because it has already happened in the restaurant industry. And what you explained, by some of these big companies going out like a Best Buy or an AMC not being able to ride this out, then it will create that uprise of new innovation, of people that have a more passionate feeling for certain products. And I think that what you just explained, Jake, can be the potential of the economy rebounding. That's exactly what you just described.
It'll rebound eventually, right?
Yeah, of course. It always does.
It's gonna hurt for a while, though.
It's gonna be painful. It's like a Band-Aid that you just slowly start to pull off. You're not gonna rip that bitch right off. It's gonna be a slow process, but it will be a process.
But a lot of people might not recover from this.
I agree. I agree.
Sucks.
My small business dealings that I have personally, and I will be honest that there are some struggles that are being revealed in this hour. So I totally feel that pinch. I totally feel that pain. We're trying to hold on.
Especially people with little ones and stuff like that.
My heart goes out to the people that have young kids.
Becoming a real downer towards the end of the show here.
No, it's not a real downer, but no, it's reality. And
you do have to look at the bright side, because that could potentially be the bright side. Is we might see more mom and pop shops. Yeah. We might see more of these things.
More innovation.
AMC might shut down, which sucks. But something's gonna have to fill that void.
I would be interested to do research on where Harkins stands on this. I wonder. Harkins isn't saying that they're threat for closing down, but you know what? There was a very small little mom and pop theater that was in downtown Phoenix that I loved going there, but you would go there just to see obscure or indie films. You would never see any of the big films. Maybe that's the next wave. We don't know. You know what I mean? I'm a fan of AMC. I have an AMC Premier Members Club. I prefer to go see movies at AMC theaters. But if they don't survive it,
it's honestly, it's been killing me not going to the movies, because I love going to the movies so much. Are you
willing to do that 1999 first release thing that some of these studios are doing, where you can pay $20 to have a movie that should be in theaters right now beamed to your home?
Depends on the movie, I guess. That is how much you'd pay for a movie ticket sometimes.
Pretty much, yeah. Actually, a little cheaper, because you're neglecting the $60 you got to pay at the concession stand for a popcorn and a small soda.
But for me, since I always went to matinees and things like that, early morning movies during the week, I always paid $7 for movies. I never paid that much to go. Yeah,
that's what I do too. I normally with AMC, since they we discussed AMC quite literally for the last few minutes. AMC has this $5 movie thing on Tuesdays. You know what I mean? And that's normally when I would go and see movies. Would be on a Tuesday. The few movies that I've seen.
They'd always do half price movies on Mondays. So I'd always go on Mondays, but I don't know. It depends on the movie, I guess.
Yeah. I know that a friend of mine, he
if it's
did it.
Black Widow, maybe I would.
A friend of mine did it for the Invisible Man movie.
See, I wanted to see that, but I don't know if I want to pay $20 for that.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be able to do it, man. Because I'm already dropping $18 for Netflix, already dropping $120 a year for Amazon. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, there's movies that can be watched there. And my 19-year-old is even angling for us to take the Disney Plus dive. And I'm like, damn, we're going to have Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus. What else we want? BET. What else we want to throw in there? HBO.
It does depend on the movie because I did just spend $30 on the new Star Wars movie. So
that's one of your passions. Here's the thing. I would say this. Take advantage of any free trials, because there are a lot of free trials out there right now. Take advantage of those free trials. And then when those bitches are over.
Pornhub.
Yo, they're still rolling it out.
Get on it.
You're still rolling it.
They want to keep you coming. You know what I mean?
Literally. I see what you did there. All right. Don't turn this into one of them podcasts they got to pay for. Let me ask you, can I switch gears?
My pants are off right now.
Oh, God. We can only wish. Can I switch gears real quick?
Please.
Okay. So everybody knows that we're all separated. You are in your place. I still make
I thought you were going to say dying.
No. I still make the trek into the Starship Enterprise, which is known as Studio G, because someone's got to be able to control things on one side. So here's the question. We're all at home.
You're the only one there. So
Right. Literally. So here's the question. Everybody's at home. And I had a friend of mine that had a conversation with me that he's feeling alone. He's feeling sad. He doesn't like, he's a very outgoing, gregarious person. And so he was telling me about, how this whole self-quarantine thing sucks. And his job moved him to work from home. So he's now at home and he lives by himself. Now he lives by himself and he works by himself, and he's not doing very well. So what I started to do after that conversation is that I would send a text message in the morning just to say, hey, good morning. How are you? And then the next day I would, I would send a text message almost every other morning and almost every evening. And my text message would say, hey, if you're feeling alone, I'm just a phone call away. I'm a FaceTime away, and blah, blah, blah. And this and that and the other. Right. Even sent messages to him on Instagram, little funny clips that I've tripped across on the online and gifts and stuff like that, just to kind of give him a sense of, he's not alone, that I'm here with him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
None of that has been retorted. My text messages go unreplied to. My Instagram messages are left on read. You know how Instagram will show you seen down at the bottom of it. There's no interactions coming from his side. So I kind of put up on my Instagram page or my Instagram story literally a few minutes before we went live today. And I posted this where it said, some folks bitching about having no one to talk to, but when I extend the olive branch to connect, I'm left on red. Okay, enjoy your space. I'm giving my attention to those who deserve it. I hear you loud and clear through your silence. Sorry for trying to be a friend. I was wrong. I'm a little pissed off that I took the time out to try to fill this person's void, the void that they initially shared with me, and it went unrequited. And I'm kind of torn by this a little bit, man. And no, I'm not talking about you.
Yeah, I mean, we talk at least for an hour every week, so.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. No, we talk throughout the week too before we do Jake and Cory.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if a person's being like that, you know what I do? I unfriend that motherfucker.
I don't know. It perturbed me, and it hurt my feelings, bro. It hurt my feelings.
I know it is like that. It can be hurtful, but you got to just think like, who gives a shit? If they don't want to talk, they don't want to talk.
I do.
Who gives a fuck?
I've made
but then
several
that begs
attempts.
the question. That begs the question: are you reaching out to them for them, or are you doing it for your own self-gratitude?
I'm reaching out to them for them because they came to me.
Then why are you so mad that they're not replying to you?
Because they came to me and said that, hey, I feel alone. I hate this whole quarantine thing. I hate working from home. I feel like I'm alone all the time. So I'm like, okay, I'm extending the olive branch, sending a text message once a day, always offering to contact or to connect through FaceTime or Instagram Live or Zoom or something like. But it pisses me off, though, man. You know what I mean? Come on.
Fuck 'em.
Why did you cry wolf, knowing damn well you really didn't? You what? Do you
Because
not
people-
want? Do they not want my contact? Is that what it is?
No,
or no
it's
contact?
It's not even that. They want attention on social media. They don't want actual attention. They want more likes. They want more frowny faces. They want more, oh, I'm sorry. They just want to feel something.
I think it's bullshit that this person played on my feelings, played on my emotions, and then when I decided to make sure that I go out of my way and continuously reach out to them, they couldn't even reply back and say, yeah, I'm good, or hey man, thanks for reaching out, or yeah, you know what, I'll chat up with you for a little bit. They were the ones that said that they had a problem and I was trying to offer them a solution.
You know what this makes me think of, Cory?
What?
It makes me think of when I go on a dating site, okay? and I get a like. I get liked back and I'm like, "Yes, this is the one."
Yeah.
I found the one. All right? So we're talking a little bit. She gives me her number. I put my heart out on my sleeve, you know? I'm really trying to have a conversation. I'm like putting all the effort I can into this conversation. And the reply back I always get is, "Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Sounds good." You know, it's always I don't know. I hate that shit.
It's not
that shit's so annoying.
Okay, but that's
Why'd you like me?
I agree with you on that, but that's a relationship. This is a friendship. I'm not trying
Are
to
you saying
bed.
a friendship's not a relationship?
What I'm saying is that I'm not trying to bed my friend. I'm not trying to get my friend in the sack. All I'm trying to do is be a friend.
With you, we never know.
I'm just trying to be a friend. And I'm trying to be a friend for a friend that expressed a need, and I'm trying to fulfill that need. You know what I mean? That's all I was trying to do, and my feelings are a little hurt by the fact that I extended the offer, and all I have is read messages on Instagram, no reply, and text messages with no reply. So I'm like, you know what? Am I wrong to say fuck it?
No, you're not. You just say fuck it and you delete them. Dude,
but I'm not that cold-hearted.
Every time I've been getting in a fight with someone on Facebook or something where they're just like downright rude to me. Recently, I had someone say, "Oh, every interaction we have is terrible. It's awful," even though this person called me on the phone, cried, right? And I was there for them, you know, like as a friend. And that was like sort of recently. And then on these Facebook posts, they're like, "You're always nasty. You're terrible. Blah, blah, blah." I don't know why I'm turning into Trump. You're terrible. China. But like, you know, this has happened with a few different people. And you know what I've been doing? And instead of just unfollowing them, which is what I normally did. I would unfollow them so I wouldn't see their notifications or whatever. But what I've been doing is I've just been unfriending them. Because if we're really friends, Facebook doesn't matter.
True.
You know what I mean?
The way that I look at it, though, man, is that the biggest gift you can give someone...
Fuck Facebook. Fuck social media. If we're friends, we're going to contact each other somehow. You probably have my number if we're real friends.
The big thing that the biggest gift you can give someone is your time. And when I'm giving someone my attention, when I'm reaching out to you, be it in a comedic way, be it in just a little simple text message or anything of that nature, that's a big gift, because there are a lot of people out there that really truly have no one. And when you don't have any type of response back, that's a misutilization of somebody's time, and you're basically slapping the hand of someone giving you the biggest gift, because all we have on this planet is time. When I send a message to you, Jake, and you reply back to me, and no matter what it is, no matter what the message may be, whether we're talking about the show or we're just talking about personal stuff or just saying hello to each other, and you reply back, that's you giving me the gift back that I've given you. And vice versa. When you send me a message, I want to reply back as quickly as I possibly can in order to return that gift. When people take that for granted, especially in this season, with so many people being alone, I think that that's the worst thing that you can do right now.
Yeah, well, couple things. First of all, I agree with you, and if they're going to be like that, fuck them, unfriend them. Second of all, also at this time, we don't know what people are going through. It could be depression, and they're just isolating themselves, not even just physically, but like mentally too.
But they can't bitch about being isolated, and then when someone tries to undo that, they don't want it.
That's the thing with depression and anxiety and shit. Like when that shit flares up, sometimes you feel obligated to post these weird posts. I did it when I was in high school. I'm an adult now, so I don't do that anymore.
You're an adult, exactly. You're an adult. You know what I'm saying?
If you're mentally unstable, that could be a thing. I'm not saying your friend is mentally unstable.
I'm starting to think that he is.
But you know what? Fuck him. Unfriend him.
I could be spending my time. I go out of my way, especially in this season. I go out of my way to FaceTime friends that I've really never FaceTime before, and I surprise FaceTime them, you know what I mean? And I reached out to a guy that follows me on Instagram because I post up a lot of food, and he went quiet for about a week and a half, and I just reached out and just sent him a private direct message, and it was, and he and I have never met a day in our lives. And I'll read what I wrote to him. I said, "Hey, blank, I know we don't know each other outside of Instagram, but as I was scrolling through my feed, something kept telling me to reach out to you. I'm not sure how or what you were feeling, but I'm acting on this feeling. How are you?" And he responded back to me. He says, "I cannot believe that you are actually taking the time out to reach out to someone that you do not know. This is amazing. Thank you for checking on me. I'm fine. I just haven't found any inspiration to post on Instagram lately. But other than that, I'm good. You are an amazing person for reaching out to a complete stranger."
Yeah, you're such a warrior. You know what I say to that? I say, fuck that noise. I ain't reaching out to nobody. I ain't going to talk to anyone else that I don't talk to now. Why the fuck would I? I already talked to the people I care about. Why the fuck? I don't give a shit.
Jake, you cold-hearted son of a bitch. Man, I love you for that.
I'm not cold-hearted. I just already talked to the people I care about. Like,
I reach out to people that I know I get feelings sometimes. I wake up in the morning and there are specific people that are on my mind, and I immediately reach out to them. And that guy, I don't know why. I woke up that morning, and this was earlier this week. I woke up that morning and I just kept seeing his Instagram face or his Instagram profile picture. And I just did. I don't know this guy from Adam. He may be a serial murderer, and I don't know.
I will say, and this is how I got to the conclusion that I'm just going to start unfriending people on Facebook if they start pissing me off. Because one, that proves to me that we're probably not really friends. And fuck you.
Oh, and that hurts.
I can tell the difference between a debate and like a little bit of bickering and like legitimately just like hating me for my beliefs. I can tell the difference. All right. I'm sure you can too.
I can.
And if that person can't tell the difference, then, I don't really want to interact with them anyway. But I was about to delete my Facebook, and this is how I got to the point where I'm just going to start deleting people off of Facebook. I was about to delete my Facebook. This wasn't recently. This was a while ago. And I was about to delete it because I was so sick of all the vitriolic stuff that was on Facebook. just all the fighting and all the bullshit. And I posted a little thing. Hey, I'm going to delete my Facebook. So like, if any of you want to like contact me or whatever, just, message me your phone number or whatever.
Yeah.
And, this dude that I like hardly ever talk to reached out to me and he's like, hey dude, if you're deleting your Facebook, you gotta take my number and like, we gotta like hang out and keep talking, dude. I like seeing your posts and stuff. Like, I know we don't talk much, but your posts are pretty cool to see and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? You just convinced me not to delete Facebook and to just delete the people that annoy me on Facebook.
You know what? Maybe that's an approach that I need to take. Maybe that's what I need to do, because I'm wearing my heart, my feelings on my sleeve, I guess. In this hour, I feel like I'm in a little different circumstance than a lot of people that are around me. So why not try to pay it forward, if you will, quote unquote, with finger quotations. But when I do that and it goes unrequited, it just, I don't know. It just hurts. It really hurts my feelings and it rubs me the wrong way. And it does make me want to just throw up the big F you then. You know what I mean? F you. You came to me crying about something. I tried to do something to counteract your feelings and you don't find it valid enough to even give me a reply. Maybe that is a fuck you moment.
I just feel really lucky because I'm just one of those dudes that doesn't have a lot of friends, but I have like 10 really close friends. You know what I mean?
Am I one of those?
You are.
No, I'm not.
You've made my top 10. If this was MySpace, you'd be in my top 10.
Oh.
You would be. Well, maybe.
Fuck you. Kiss my ass. You kiss my big fat chocolate ass.
You would be number 10.
Okay. You know what? In this day and age, I'm going to take 10. I'll take 10. I know if I ever make it in the top 5, I'm throwing a party, but I will take 10. You know why? Because I know that there's someone that's number 11. So I'm still better than
the number 11.
I'm still better than that person.
Yeah, number 11 is my mom.
Oh God, Jesus!
I'm just kidding.
Oh my Lord! Oh Jesus! Wow.
I'm sorry, that was just a joke.
But I don't. It just really rubbed me the wrong way, and it was kind of like fresh on my mind when coming into.
No, I feel
this
you,
show
dude.
today.
There's just something about social media that just like. It just hits. It just like it tears you up inside sometimes.
But this wasn't even. I agree with you on that. But this situation wasn't even all on social media. It was direct messages. It was text messages back and forth, and phone calls that are thrown to voicemail. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn. Okay, maybe you just don't want my type of friendship, and if that's the case, don't fucking come to me crying about something, bro.
You know what I do now? And you know how like on people's birthdays. And it's like you can post on their wall when it's their birthday.
Yeah.
I don't post on people's walls anymore. I just direct message them.
I do too, because I've been burned on the fact that people put up fake birthdays on
it's just
Facebook.
For themselves. It's not for you.
Yeah. So what I do is that I send them a direct message and I always wish them happy Facebook birthday, because it could be their real birthday and it could not be their real birthday. So I never comment on anybody's walls.
Well, and ever since COVID started happening, I've been messaging everyone who's had a birthday, and I message them and I say, hey, sorry, this is your last birthday.
Oh, God damn it, son of a bitch, Jake. Damn.
Well, so we've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes. I think it's
You are such an asshole, bro. Oh, my God. Happy last birthday, you son of... You know what? Please title this episode Happy Last Birthday.
I'll do it. I will. I think that's a good spot to end.
You are such a jerk. Oh, my God.
God.
Here's
the music. Bah, bah.